Hello everybody, so I'm going to talk you through the maths worksheet for today. So we were doing multiplication and division before the break, so we're going to carry on this week. So just to remember that multiplication is where we count in groups of objects instead of in ones. So when we look at this array, for example, here, we wouldn't count in ones, we would look to find groups and count in groups. So we could count in groups this way: 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there are 6 groups of 2, and 6 groups of 2 makes 12. It's another way of saying 2 times 6 make 12, because we could look at it as 2 groups of 6 as well. So just remember that with multiplication, it doesn't actually matter which number you put first, whether it's the number of groups or the number in each group. So as in the example here, and I've just talked you through this array would be, when we write it as multiplication, would be 2 times 6 equals 12, which is the same as 2 groups of 6. Or 6 times 2 equals 12, which is the same as 6 groups of 2. Now we're going to also write division statements for the same array. Just remember, with a division, it does matter what comes first, because division is starting with a total number and then sharing them equally. So we always have to put the largest number first with division. So with division, you need to know how many there are in total. So let's just remember, I'm going to count in 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there are 12 in total, so I would start with 12, and I can divide by 2, or I can divide by 6. If I divide by 2, my 12 divided by 2 equals 6. So it's the same as saying, if I share 12 equally into 2 groups, I end up with 6 in each group. The other way of saying it is 12 divided by 6 equals 2. So that's like saying, if I share 12 into 6 groups, how many do I have in each group? And I have 2. The other thing that you'll notice with these statements is that the numbers in these statements are the same, they just change in order. Okay, let's have a look at the first question that you've been asked to do. So you have to write 2 multiplication statements and 2 division statements to match each array. It says use 2 different colours for grouping. It may help you keep your thinking clear. If you'd like to colour them in, that's up to you. Okay, so looking at the multiplication sentences first, I'm going to look down the columns and see how many columns I've got. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there are 7 columns, so there are 7 groups, and then I'm going to count how many in each group. 1, 2, 3. So that's another way of saying 7 times 3. We know with multiplication that we can switch the order of the numbers round. So I could also say 3 times 7. So in order to find the answer to those statements, I need to count in one of those numbers. I could count in 3s or I could count in 7s. We don't know how to count in 7s yet, so we're going to count in 3s 7 times. So you can use your fingers and skip count in 3s. So it would sound like this: 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. So we now know that 3 times 7 is 21. I can write that here. And also 7 times 3 is 21. I can write that here. Just remember to use the small X sign for your multiplication sentences. It's another word for saying times. Moving on to division, we need to start with the whole number of objects. So the answer to your multiplication sentences was 21. So 21, that's the total number we have. We will write that at the beginning of our division sentences. So 21, then we'll use the divide by symbol. 21 divide by. Now I'm going to start with 3 in my first statement. So 21 divided by 3 equals what? So if I know that 3 times 7 is 21, or 7 times 3 is 21, I also know that 21 divided by 7 equals 3. The same as saying, how many 7s are there in 21? There are 3 lots of 7 in 21. And then I will do the same on the other side, starting with 21 divided by 3. So how many 3s are there in 21? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 3s in 21. So 21 divided by 3 equals 7. So that is how you will have 4 different statements for this array. Number 2 is looking at groups of pizzas. So you need to count how many there are in each column and how many there are in each row, and then find out how many there are altogether. Now if I look at the columns first of all, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 pizzas in the first column, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pizzas in the rows. I don't know how to count in 4s yet, but I do know how to count in 2s. So I could count in 2s instead. I could go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22 and 24. And I could use those numbers in my multiplication sentence. So instead of doing 4 times something, I could do 2 times something. So let's just do that again. I had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. So I had, and you can actually circle these if it's easier for you. I can do this using add notes on my computer. You might be able to do it by writing it out on paper, or you might have the same tool on your computer. So just to make it easier, I'm going to just draw a line so I can see those groups. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So how many groups of 2 do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that will give me my first multiplication sentence. 2 times 12 equals 24. And I just have to swap the numbers round to write it the other way. So I write the number of groups first. 12 times how many in each group second. 2 equals 24. So starting with division, I need to put my whole number first. So we've already worked out that the total is 24. So 24 divided by what? Well, we'll start by dividing it by the number of groups. So looking back, we've got 12 groups here. So 24 divided by 12 equals, and the answer will be how many in each group. And then 24 divided by how many in each group, 2, will tell you how many groups there are in total, which should be 12. Have a look through the other ones. You've got some groups of 3 here, groups of 2 here, some groups of 3 here, and some groups of 5 here. And you know how to count in 2s, 3s and 5s. So you should be able to make multiplication statements and division statements for these ones.